happened at the zoo. From a woman narrowly escaping with her life to a gorilla who received international acclaim for saving a child. Tilikum the orca. Tilikum was a male orca who spent most of his life at SeaWorld Orlando after being caught in Iceland when he was still a juvenile. His capture, experience of bullying, and forced performances put Tilly under extreme stress, causing him to be aggressive. Sadly, because of this, he took the lives of 3 people. First was Kelty Byrne, a marine biologist student who slipped and fell into Tilly's pool. She was drowned and her body was only retrieved several hours after the incident. Second was Daniel P. Dukes, who was found dead on Tilly's back while in his sleeping pool. Duke stayed behind after the park closed and willfully entered the tank. He suffered multiple wounds and died due to drowning. Lastly, Tilly took the life of Dawn Branshaw, his trainer. As part of a post-show routine, Branshaw was rubbing Tilly when he grabbed her by her ponytail and dragged her into the water. Though some report to have seen Tilly take her by the arm instead. Dawn died from blunt force trauma and drowning. Gugu the giant panda. Gugu is a male giant panda known for attacking visitors who trespass into his enclosure. In 2006, Gugu bit a drunk man who tried to hug him. Zhang Jinyan at first managed to approach Gugu undetected, but as soon as he was noticed, Gugu bit his legs. He was eventually let go and hospitalized. Second was a 15-year-old, Li Xiaotao, who jumped the barrier and went to the panda exercise area. Instead of being welcomed, Gugu once again reacted by biting both legs. Li Xiaotao was so viciously attacked that his bones showed and chunks of his flesh were falling inside the ambulance. The last incident happened as Zhang Xiao went into Gugu's pen to retrieve a toy his son had dropped. He faced the same fate as the others before him. Workers had to force Gugu's jaws open, using tools as he wouldn't let go. Zhang Zhao eventually was released and underwent surgery for major ligament damage. I'm drunk Daniel. Oh boy, why is it when we're drunk we usually think the most questionable ideas are criminally genius? Like this guy hopping into a lion's den to shake hands with the king of the beasts. I'm surprised he didn't get his arm chewed off. But what if I told you that someone did something even more insane? Meet Chen, who probably thought he was biblical Daniel, reborn after partaking too much of the happy juice. He wasn't scared about being in a closed space with these massive felines, unlike Daniel. Unfortunately, he also wasn't like Daniel in getting out of his situation unscathed. After jumping into a lion enclosure at the Taipu Zoo in Taiwan, 46-year-old Chen waved his hands and jacket at the lion, screaming, "Jesus will save you!" Without surprise, instead of bowing on its front feet, the lion attacked Chen, first by ripping away his jacket, and next by biting into his arm. Articles online state that he was also bitten on the right leg. Zoo officials were later able to rescue him with the help of water hoses and tranquilizer shots. Maddox Durkish. Going to the zoo is usually a favorite family bonding experience. Kids get to see the cutest and strongest animals, while parents are happy their kids get a gadget break. But what happens if tragedy strikes during one of these trips? The memorable moment turns sour, and PTSD likely ensues. This is the sad story of Maddox Durkish. Maddox Durkish was a 2-year-old boy who African painted dogs killed after falling into their enclosure during an exhibit. Elizabeth Durkish, his mother, had lifted him onto the railing so that he could get a better view, despite the warnings and barriers around. Unfortunately, little Maddox slipped, falling 14 feet into the pit past a safety net. The little boy didn't even have time to catch his breath when he was immediately mauled by not 1, but 11 painted dogs. It's been reported that Maddox was quickly torn apart and disemboweled by the predators, bleeding to death before any rescue was able to reach him. Due to this instance, Elizabeth Derkish was accused of criminal negligence, but was never prosecuted. She then filed a lawsuit against the zoo for her son's death, later settling the matter outside of court. Tatiana the tiger. Tigers are often one of the most viewed animals at the zoo. How come? Well, we get to see a majestic apex predator in a safe manner, presumably. In San Francisco Zoo, a female Siberian tiger was killed in a hail of gunfire after fatally mauling a man on Christmas of 2007. The tiger was named Tatiana, and her victim was 17-year-old Carlos Sousa Jr. His two friends also sustained injuries, though they were fortunate enough to escape with their lives. But how or why did Tatiana escape her enclosure? Lori Gage, a tiger expert, wrote in her report, "With my knowledge of tiger behavior, I cannot imagine a tiger trying to jump out of its enclosure unless it was provoked." This statement was later stricken from the final version. Apparently, whether Tatiana was provoked or not has been a long point of contention. Whatever the truth is, San Francisco Zoo officials admit that the enclosure should have been more secure. After all, Tatiana was able to jump out. They were only fined $1,875 for flaws in the tiger enclosure and one unrelated violation. Harambe. He became a household name, not because he was someone who fell into an exhibit. He was the gorilla shot dead on May 28, 2016, after a 3-year-old went into his habitat. His name was Harambe. That fateful day, witnesses heard a child say he wanted to go inside the gorilla enclosure. Later, the boy climbed the fence, crawled through the bushes, and fell 15 feet into the moat. Immediately, staff signaled the 3 gorillas in the habitat to return inside. 2 of them did, yet one didn't. It was the silverback Harambe. In these clips, we could see conflicting reactions from Harambe. He sometimes held the boy's hand and helped the child stand up. Other times, he would push him back down and drag him through the moat. Later, however, he would carry the boy up a ladder and place him on dry land. At this point, all should be well and good, right? No. Zoo officials killed Harambe with a single rifle shot. The boy was transported to a hospital, and his injuries were reported to be non-life-threatening. To this day, it's unsure whether Harambe would have actually hurt the child, or was simply satiated. Who said Tarzan was fiction? Well, it is, but not the goodness of gorillas. That one was based in reality. And thankfully, unlike what happened with Harambe, Binti Jua was praised and given gifts for her kind heart. In 1996, when Binti was just 8 years old, a 3-year-old boy climbed the wall and fell 24 feet into her enclosure, suffering a broken hand and large gash in the process. Seeing the unconscious child, Binky walked towards him and cradled him with her strong arm. She brought him to her enclosure door and laid him down as soon as she heard it open, sure that rescue was on the way for the little tyke. Her baby Kula, just 17 months old, stayed with her mother throughout the incident, helping her watch the child. The boy was taken to the hospital where he spent 4 days recovering. Binti received international attention and special treats and food from zoo personnel and even visitors for her altruism. Some debate that Binti's actions were brought about by training instead of inherent kindness. However, I have faith in her kindness, as I believe maternal bonds transcend species. Just do a quick search on YouTube. You'll see mother gorillas cooing over human babies. Until next time, adios.